The NBA world tends to move 100 miles an hour during the early part of the offseason because the transition from the end of the finals to the draft and then to free agency comes back to back to back, and in this time, a ton of movement goes down. Rumors are flying, trades are being made, big free agency signings are being made, and there's a ton of new information coming out every single day, so sometimes it's hard to keep up with it all. I made a video similar to this one a few weeks ago, and now that there's plenty of new storylines to discuss, we're bringing it back to do it again. Essentially, in this video, I have rounded up the 3 biggest rumors floating around the rumor mill right now in order to analyze them and ultimately determine if I think there is truth behind them or if they're total BS. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first rumor we'll be discussing is probably the biggest one going on right now, being that Damian Lillard is refusing to play for any other team besides the Miami Heat next year, and ultimately, I'm calling BS on this whole notion. The last week has been a constant back and forth between Lillard's representation and the Trailblazers front office, trying to mediate the trade request that Lillard submitted at the beginning of free agency. Lillard sees the team moving towards a rebuild, and he doesn't want to stick around for it, which I will definitely admit is completely fine. I don't think anybody has any problems with Lillard wanting to compete for championships at this point in his career as a superstar about to turn 33 years old. However, the biggest issue with the way that this whole ordeal has gone down is the fact that he and his agents have basically attempted to hold the Blazers front office hostage, forcing them to give them exactly what they want without any other alternatives. Lillard wants the Heat and the Heat only, because he's good friends with Bam Adebayo, and he's seen them make the finals twice in the last 4 years, and wants to help them get over the hump. The problem here is that out of all of the teams that would potentially be interested in acquiring Lillard in a trade, the Heat have far from the best offer, and the Blazers would be foolish to hurt themselves and their franchise just to appease someone like Lillard who, while great, hasn't actually won anything with them. Lillard's trying to move like he's LeBron James out here, as if he's owed whatever he wants on a silver platter, but that's just not how the business of the NBA works. If he wanted to go to Miami so badly, he shouldn't have signed a contract extension with them that is in effect for minimum 3 more seasons with a player option for a potential 4th season, because he could have gone there in free agency. Another reason why I'm calling BS on this is because, if we're being honest, these threats from Lillard's side are just a leverage play. If another great team were to trade for Lillard, do you really think that he would refuse to play for 3 whole seasons, throwing money down the drain in the process? Like, let's be realistic here. I completely understand Lillard having a preferred destination, but I don't think I've ever seen a full-on hostage situation happen to this degree in the league, and Lillard's not the kind of guy who would sit out for a long period of time if he doesn't get his way. The next rumor we'll be addressing today is that the Sixers are planning on actually keeping James Harden now after he had originally requested a trade, and for this one I actually think there is some truth behind it. This offseason has definitely not gone down how James Harden probably hoped that it would. He had the opportunity to be a free agent because he could have opted out of his player option in his contract for next year, freeing himself up to scour the open market, and he was originally planning on doing just that. Reports came out several different times throughout the year stating that the Houston Rockets wanted to bring him back, and he probably thought that he was going to be offered a max contract from them this summer. But then, after the way that he and the Sixers fizzled out in the second round of the playoffs, his market undoubtedly shrunk. That second round series for Harden was a roller coaster because he had 2 stellar performances, dropping over 40 points in wins, but then in the other 5 games of the series, he had nothing nothing but dreadful showings. There was no in-between at all. It was either an outstanding game from him or a terrible game from him, and that kind of variance is definitely scary when you consider how much money guys on max contracts are being paid. The Rockets shifted gears and turned their focus to Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks instead. No other teams have really come out of the woodwork to throw money at Harden in an offer, so he ended up opting into the final year of his contract and simultaneously requesting a trade, since that would be the next easiest route to landing in a destination where he could still contend. Harden was also likely hurt by the fact that the Sixers front office did not come to him with big money offers either, so that also played a role in his trade request. However, now that a few days have gone by and the dust has started to settle, Harden is still a long way away from getting his wish. The Clippers were the team at the top of his list that he wanted to be traded to, but the Clippers' offers, according to reports, have been pretty bad, with the front office refusing to even include Terrence Mann in any of their trade offers, let alone a big name like Paul George, and the Sixers, like the Blazers, don't plan on making a trade unless the return is justifiable. Harden attended a big party at billionaire Michael Rubin's house for 4th of July, and there he was actually spotted hanging out with teammates Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Tyrese Maxey. Every report since that event has been that there could be a peaceful reunion, and the two sides may end up actually coming back together in the end. I don't necessarily think a trade is now off the table, because the Sixers will still take phone calls from teams who may want to acquire Harden, but I also don't believe that they're in any rush to ship him out either. And finally, the last rumor we'll be discussing today is that Pascal Siakam will be moved before the start of the new season, and my verdict on this rumor is also that there is maybe some truth behind it. The Raptors are a team that, ever since their title in 2019, have been on a steady decline. They're now at a point where their best case scenario with their current roster is being a play-in tournament team, and would probably be better off going in a new direction. Pascal Siakam himself hasn't necessarily indicated that he wants out by any means, as he's expressed how much he likes playing for the Raptors, but things move so fast in the NBA, and his mind could definitely change in a heartbeat. He also may not even be a part of the team's long-term plans, and with only 1 year remaining on Siakam's current contract, this is the last year they have to try to trade him for any kind of returning value, otherwise they'll get to next summer with the options either being paying him a max contract extension or watching him leave for no return. There has also been a report from the Toronto Raptors reporters that came out yesterday stating how last season was a pretty frustrating one in the Raptors locker room at times, as Siakam and Fred VanVleet were both pretty frustrated with the younger talent on the team, and that's not the kind of divide that the Raptors want to continue on with. Lillard and Harden have dominated the headlines, but Siakam is one of the best power forwards in the game today, and this is an opportunity to potentially land him at a discount due to his contract situation, so you'd be silly to think that teams looking to make a push for the playoffs and maybe even a championship won't do what they can to get him. The Clippers are reportedly interested in him, as are the Atlanta Hawks, and as the summer goes on, I'm sure that list will grow. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these rumors. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.